Let's talk about this summit. What's the purpose of this summit? Why is this summit needed?
This summit basically it's a platform that is designed to empower, connect, and to promote African people, African Australians, so Afro people, because we're also open to people who may not necessarily recognize themselves as Africans, but they are from African descent. And we want them to be part of this, to connect with others who have a focus in business and showcase various business achievement. Because we are not the first migrant community. We have found many migrant communities here, and we ought to be able to follow suit. Unfortunately, what I realize here is that there has not been enough focus in our communities to get people together for business. There's a lot of parties, a lot of festivals, a lot of church activities, sport, entertainment, but it shouldn't stay there. We need to go to that next step where we build economic power, because without economic power, we will continue to be the subject of those who hold that power. As Africans, until now, we still rank low on the socio-economic scale. And the only things that is going to change that is when we decide that enough is enough, we're going to do what we need to do to develop entrepreneurial skills, to build and develop businesses, and to raise our economic power. Because we can, and we have that ability. We just need to focus. And whatever you focus on magnifies, and it eventually manifests.
Powerful. Okay, welcome back to the Rabasha Family Podcast. Now, we have something on a revolution, a mission here that's happening in Australia, and we want to bring the world to this amazing news. Now, we have here the CEO of the Afropreneur Summit, Clyde Sharati, who had a vision in his mind to create something powerful, something monumental, something that he saw that was missing, being able to bring amazing people together for the purpose of empowerment, connecting, and promoting the African continent here in Australia. Welcome, Clyde.
Thank you very much, Sujira. It's a pleasure to be here.
So good to have you on. So good to have you on. So look, Clyde, I want to take it all the way back. I want to, as we go on to this amazing event that's happening, this powerful, event that will happen and take place in Sydney, 2024. And I love this word as the event visionary. You saw this within your mind, and I was there last year, and I just want to say it was an absolutely amazing event. The professionalism, the dynamic that was there, the speakers, the panelists, the encouragement. I left that day inspired. And to be honest, I'll just give you a personal story. Even me, it was a time when I was going through my job. I was working at a time, but I had the vision and I was there. So to see that people, to be able to even do a small talk inspired me so much, which has led me to where I am now as a full-time entrepreneur, running my business, and I'm sat here with you. So the way life happens, right? I was watching you on the panel there, conduct yourself so eloquently, looking and having small talks with you, but now through time and connecting with you on LinkedIn and seeing also, your prestige on LinkedIn, here we are. So I'm actually a testament to Afropreneur, so for all of the people who don't know about this powerful event, Afropreneur changed my life. It's helped me on this path. And that's why for so many young people, this is so valuable. So, enough about that. So can you talk to us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, who are you, and how you have inspired the world, Clyde?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Clyde Sharati. I was born in a small town in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I came to Australia a little over 25 years ago in 1999. And I am actually a trained journalist. I trained and worked as a journalist back in the Congo. And when I got here in Australia, I couldn't find a job in journalism, so I went into corporate world, and I worked for Telstra and for about 10 years and other companies. And in 2017, I decided that I kind of had a bit of enough. I mean, I had enough of sitting on a desk 9 to 5 every day. So I started my own business. And that was in 2017. Now it's 2024, 7 years on. I'm really, really happy of the decision that I've made. And as part of what I do as well, besides my my job and my business, I am involved in, and I've been involved for so many years in community-related projects, because I just have that thing in me that pushes me to do something for the community. I started a media platform called Africa Media Australia in 2012. We've been projecting a more positive image of the African Australian person and Africa in general. And when I went into business, I also wanted to do something that would continue along that path to really showcase the achievements of people of African descent in many forms, and in this specific instance in the business area. So I would probably have more time to elaborate on that later, but that's a little bit about myself.
Okay, very powerful. And there's a couple things you said there, but I want to go to this because I do got to say you are ahead of your time in terms of the media. You see, you wanted to hold on a minute. How can we change the narrative? And for years and years and years, the way to do that has been through media. When you control media, you control the masses. And if the other person has the control, that's the story that's told. So, what made you want to start your own media, especially for Africans?
Well, I knew that media always has the little negative sort of inclination, and I could complain about how Africans and Africa was being projected or portrayed in the media. But I could also do something in that space, given the skills that I had and the fact that we've developed technologies, digital technologies. We have now the option to kind of compete with big media without necessarily having big budget. So I saw the opportunity to start an online platform and utilize my skills along with the people that I was working with, another friend that we actually worked together to develop that project. And we were able to publish stories and a lot of videos. If people just go on Africa Media Australia, it started in 2012, you'll see a lot of videos, a lot of um, articles that we published to say that, to show that Africans are not just what a lot of people in the Western world think of them. Africa is not just what it seems to be portrayed in the media in Western world. There's a lot more to that, and we are actually a vibrant and dynamic people. Yes, we have issues, but we are actually doing a lot of things to improve our lives and be able to embrace the future and be successful.
Powerful, powerful. Okay, so as we go into the conception of Afropreneur, talk about that moment when you left your job. Why
Yeah.
did you leave, and what did you want to go and start?
Sure. Well, I left the job because it was part of my plans, really, for quite some time. Yeah, I guess it started even before the Africa Media Australia project in 2012, to just be able to run my own business rather than work for someone, because I know that it is actually a better choice if you can start and manage a business and then be able to live off that, even though it could be a lot more work than working for someone, but it's work that you're doing for yourself, and you're building maybe uh, you know generational wealth for your children and grandchildren. So I was happy to take up that challenge, and it took some time to put things together. But in 2017, everything was ready, so I decided to go into business because I just didn't want to continue that 9 to 5 job every day. You wake up at 6, 7 in the morning, you get ready, and you catch the train, go to the city where I worked, and then 9 hours later or 8 hours later, you catch the train again, get back home, and before you know it, you're spending about 12 to 14 hours just to go and get that check after 2 weeks, and I thought I could use my time better, and I could, achieve more by working for myself and starting my own business. And 7 years on, I'm very much happy where I am, and I couldn't. I don't know why I didn't start that even earlier. And then when I got into my business, I realized that a lot of us in the African community have thought at some point of starting a business, but many people don't know how to go about that because it's not easy. I mean, the easiest thing is to start a business, but what's even more difficult is to grow and develop it. And a lot of people who start businesses within 2, 3 years, they end up closing. But I realized that it was important for me to kind of convey the story and trying to share my experience with others in saying that we, yes, you can put a plan together, you can start a business, you can be successful. And that's how, in line with that, I was looking at what I could do, because perhaps something I didn't say earlier, when I was doing Africa Media Australia, we organized a lot of events, including the awards. We used to have an awards program, which was about really recognizing the excellent achievement of people of African descent in the Australian context, because a lot of people in the community, that negative image of Africans. They think that everyone is just, they've got that sort of refugee story, and all the some of the young people who are not doing good, and they end up being in trouble with the justice system. Yes, that's part of the community, but there's a much bigger story, and that is overly positive. And I wanted to uh, project that, and then I asked myself, in the business sector, what can I do? Because I sort of wanted to change things after COVID, to do something different. And that's why the idea of having a platform that encourages, that facilitates, entrepreneurship in the community was something good. And I bumped into the Black Business Summit in the US, and there's also one in the UK as well. The UK's Black Business Conference, and I saw that these were really good platforms that didn't exist in the Australian context. So I decided to take up the challenge to put something together. And here we are. We started in 2022. Now we've organized a total of 4 summits. This year, we're organizing 5 summits, and Sydney is one of them.
Wow, 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 wow. So, talk to us about that beginning journey of now launching Afropreneur. How did you come about that, right? Like, I know that would have been a hard mission, right? How do I now? I've seen this and seen what they're doing in the US and the UK, which is powerful. How did you now go about creating this?
Yeah, I knew that it would be challenging, because one of the things that I realized very quickly, when it comes to the Afro or Black population, the UK has a whole lot of blacks. Same in the US, and they've been there for centuries, kind of, more so in the US than UK. But the African community in Australia is relatively new. Africans started arriving in Australia en masse only from late 80s, early 90s, so it's still pretty recent. And there's challenge in terms of the mentality, in terms of where people are in the sort of socioeconomic scale, and all that sort of thing. But I also knew that there is also a very large group of Africans who arrive in Australia hitting the ground. I mean, they hit the ground running. They come as professionals, so they'll be very much connected with that idea of entrepreneurship. And there's already uh, a lot of them who are into that space. So I just needed to find a strategy to make that happen. And obviously, because of the network that I had in my media platform, I was able to leverage that, and then utilize the resources that I actually put my own money down. I knew it would cost me, because we wanted to do this summit in a very nice hotel, kind of a 5-star hotel. So it's business. We really wanted to show that this is a different story about African people. So, and I knew that it will cost money, but I was able to put my own money down and say, okay, even if it costs me $10,000 or more, I'm happy to do this, because I know that it has value in the community, and I'm very sure there are other people out there in the community who think like me, who will connect with this vision. Therefore, together we can actually work successfully and deliver this summit. And that's what happened in Melbourne. We planned initially for about 70 people, because we thought it was, we thought, sorry, it was a new concept. Perhaps not many people would be attracted to it, but we ended up getting about 120 people. And soon after that, we got a lot of messages from other people in other cities. That's why we decided the following year to expand to Sydney. And this year, being the third year, we're saying we're going to go to pretty much most of the capital cities in Australia, except Darwin and Canberra. So it was just really that conviction and the skills and the network that I had, that I was able to put it together, and here we are.
Wow, wow. To see the progress and to see that first turnout there in Melbourne, Really powerful actually when we talk about the human mind and the imagination, where the man Clyde had this in his mind. Afropreneur wasn't here, but he created it from his mind, and he saw how powerful it would be. You saw it in your mind, and you didn't stop at nothing to make this happen. You said, I'm going to put my own money down. There's no one that we're going to ask for or go ask for handouts. No, we want to do this. It's on our terms. The only change we will bring is through economics. It's through building stuff like this where businesses come together, right? We go there
Mhm.
not protesting on the street or complaining, asking for handouts. No. So that's really powerful. So let's talk about this summit. Like, what's the purpose of this summit, right? Like, why is this summit needed?
Well, this summit basically it's a platform that is designed to empower, to connect, and to promote. Uh, to empower African people, African Australians, so Afro people, because we're also open to people who may not necessarily recognize themselves as Africans, but they are from African descent, uh, and we want them to be part of this. We want them to connect with others of like-minded who have a focus in business, and really to promote and showcase the various business achievement in this country, because we are not the first sort of migrant community. We have found many migrant communities here, and even those that have been coming lately. And I can take the case of the Indians, for example. They're very big on business, and we ought to be able to follow suit. Unfortunately, what I realized for the time I've been here is that there has not been enough focus in our communities to get people together for business. There's a lot of forums there are a lot of parties, a lot of festivals, a lot of church activities, sport, entertainment, all of that, and that's all good. That's part of our culture. That's part of our vibrancy, our faith, and all that. But it shouldn't stay there. We need to go to the next step where we build economic power, because without economic power, we will continue to be the subject of those who hold that power. And when you look at the global community, as Africans, we always, I mean, until now, we still rank pretty low on the socio-economic scale. And the only things that is going to change that is when we decide that enough is enough. We're going to do what we need to do to develop entrepreneurial skills, to build and develop businesses, and to raise our economic power, because we can and we have that ability. We just need to focus. And whatever you focus on magnifies and it eventually manifests.
Mm, powerful, so powerful. I do want to touch on that just quickly. Being able to hear what you were saying, and seeing how within the communities it is that entertainment, right? But like, to bring that business side of things is really, really, truly powerful. So I did really want to highlight on that. So okay, that all sounds good, one would say, right? It sounds good. It's great to hear that, right? It's great to even hear now other communities being involved in this. So, like, why do you think people should attend? If the person who's watching there on the other end of the screen, is watching me and you, and seeing this powerful conversation, and is probably being inspired. But in society today, there may be a lack of action, right? People can consume motivational content, but how much action is behind it? So why should someone get out of where they are and what they're doing to come and attend this event?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's one thing to know what to do. It's another to do what you know. A lot of us know that it's good to develop some business and entrepreneurial skills. Some of them, some of us learn a lot. We read books, we watch motivational videos, we got the knowledge, but you got to put that knowledge to use. One way to learn, actually, one of the best way to learn is to learn through people. When we organize these summits, we bring together three groups. The first group, we call it the aspiring entrepreneurs. These are people that just thinking of going into business but not quite sure what to do, and where
Mm,
to get the money from and how to go about it. That's the aspiring entrepreneurs. The second group is the emerging entrepreneurs. Those who have already started their business, they kind of now trying to work out what's the best growth and strategy to develop their businesses. That's the second. And then the third group is the established entrepreneurs, those who've been there, done that, and potentially looking at now at scaling up or even just giving back to the community by supporting others. We want to bring all these three people together to have conversations, to look at way of collaborate. I mean, to look at ways they can collaborate. Because when you bring people together, they start conversations, they connect, and then they explore partnership. Funny story is, I mean, not funny, but interesting story for me. Even my own business in transportation, I never planned really to go into transportation business. But how it happened is, I met someone who came to one of my events in Melbourne as part of the awards that I was talking about earlier. We developed a friendship. This was a doctor who was working in Sydney, sorry, not Sydney, Canberra, and who had a couple of trucks that he bought because he was, as part of his charitable organization, he was collecting secondhand medical equipment in Australia and sending it to Africa. Then he became very busy. He couldn't do that anymore. And he asked me, Claude, you got a large network in not only Melbourne, but in Australia. I've got trucks here that I pretty much don't know what to do about. I'm thinking of selling, but I thought maybe we can do. Can you think of something to do with it? And I say yes, bring them on. And I went into my network. I found people who actually had experience in transportation, removalists, logistics, and we sat down. We put a plan together. Eventually, we got the vehicles, and we started within about 6 months. We're able to get another vehicle, and within a couple of years, actually 1 year and a half, I actually got 5 vehicles, and we're running full on. So this shows that even without actually having capital, the connections you make with people, the conversation you have with them, the knowledge you get through them, all of that can catapult you to the next level in your entrepreneurial journey. So we're inviting people to come so that they can get the knowledge, the connection, they can be empowered, inspired, and make friends, useful friends who can make a difference in their lives.
So, and just real quick, going back to that story. So, yeah, you had no capital. You know, just something came in your lap, and you saw a need in the market, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. I started this particular. I mean, I have now a couple of businesses, but this particular business that I'm talking about, which is still my main business because that's the one that brings the largest amount of revenue. I started this business without any capital. So it's, well, the capital was a human capital, a social capital, the connection that I had with this gentleman in Canberra. So it just goes a long way to show that once you connect with people, and the only way you connect with people, I mean, not the only way, but one of the best ways is to go where you can find people who have a particular mindset, like-minded people. If you want to start a business, well, you can hang out with your friends and have parties and stuff, but it may not take you anywhere. But if you go to business forums, if you go to networking forums, then you are more likely to meet people who can inspire you, who can partner with you, who can teach you a thing or two. And this is why it is important for our communities to actually start doing this. Join these business platforms. You may not necessarily get everything in one go. The first event may not be necessarily giving you everything you want, but the more you do that, the more chances you are giving yourself to learn, to connect, and to increase your social capital, which is as important, sometimes even more important than the financial capital.
Wow, very, very powerful. And you know what? Like, even for me, as a business owner myself, even from a marketing perspective, for me as a business owner and other business owners to even come in for sponsorships, right? Like, think about it. You're putting together in people in a room of aspiring entrepreneurs. The What was the middle ground one again? It was aspiring,
Emerging and established.
emerging, and established, right? So even like as a business owner wanting to expand your business, for you to be a sponsor to say, wait a minute, if you have those three audiences in that room together, that's a chance for a sponsor to come in and sponsor the event to say, hey, now I can market myself, because you see, I'm into marketing, and so that for me is just in-person marketing. It's sticking out. That's where the attention is. So not only for the people to come in all those three sections to come and join, but also on the other side of that, for people, sponsorships and big businesses to come in and say, hey, you know what, a minute, that is great marketing. If we're a B2B or whatever it is, we can come in and have the attention and have our target audience within our crowd, and then even introduce things like partnerships, right?
Absolutely.
Partnerships,
Absolutely. You're definitely right. I know many of the African business owners do operate with businesses that kind of cater for the African community. There's some good and bad points for that, because when you start a business, it should be you should be really targeting anyone who has that needs. But it still remains the case that many Africans have businesses that kind of whose service or products are directed to African community members. For such businesses, well, you're going to be having here about 100 or more people who can not only be your client, they can also be your partner. They can also potentially give you good ideas that will help you to develop your business. So come and sponsor if you are able to, because it will give you exposure for that, and that exposure can then be leveraged because it's an investment. When you sponsor an event, your branding is out there, both your personal branding, your business branding, your organizational branding. All of these things means that people will start now connecting you or your brand with the service and product that you are providing, and that is money that you will eventually collect at a later stage sometime, if you know how to put all that together. So we're very open, and also even big businesses that are non-Africans, the African population is actually growing, and it is growing exponentially. And also, the economic power of Africans is growing. People may not know this, but a few years ago, for example, the Zimbabweans, as a community, they had the highest mean salary of all migrant groups in Australia. What that means is that if you take 100 Zimbabweans who arrive in Australia, the job they hold, and take their salaries and find a mean amount, and then compare that with let's say the Indians or the Pakistani or whatever other community, the Indians or even the British or the Americans, the Zimbabweans actually had the highest mean salary. It just simply shows that because many of them come to Australia as a second migration. They may have been either in UK or US or New Zealand. When they get here, they already have a job, and it's usually highly paid jobs, and that's economic power. Another fact is that the Nigerians have the highest number of PhD holders in the whole of Australia. People don't know that. And when you have a PhD, it means you have achieved quite a high level of education that usually that is also connected to high paying job. So people only know about this little story about the young Africans doing some, causing trouble here and there because the media blows that out. They don't know about these other stories that are powerful, that are economically empowering. So big businesses can tap into this community for their product and services, and sponsoring this event is one way to sort of connect with this new, economically powerful community.
Hey guys, I know you're enjoying this video, but please take the time, the link in the description, you'll be able to get your ticket for the Afropreneur Summit 2024. It's something that you don't want to miss. You want to be there to learn, grow, and take your business to the next level. See you there. So many light bulbs for me ringing just as a business owner, knowing how attention is powerful. So that's really powerful. So look, I actually want to put this into practical way, right? Like, I think this is a great piece of conversation. And for the people who are here watching this, podcast out, still being inspired, and people around the event, you've broken down the three audiences of business owners that will be there, right? The aspiring ones, the one who, like me, remember when I first came, I was I was still in my job. So I was the aspiring entrepreneur at the time, right?
Yes, yes.
Aspiring, doing it. I was personal branding, even though I didn't know. Actually, I didn't know I was doing it because I was very intentional at that time. So take that back. But yes, I was personal branding, gave a small speech. So you have the aspiring entrepreneurs who were there, like me. And then you have your emerging ones, right? The emerging ones who they've established their business, they're out there, they're doing what they need to do, and then they're coming to a place like this because that's what's so powerful, for the aspiring, for the emerging, now for the established too. They're running and they just want to give back to the community. They want to be able to come in and, still maybe have partnership strategy and inspire and just be in that environment. So I want to go into each of these people who are watching this because they're all here and they want to learn a lot of value. So let's talk about the aspiring entrepreneur. How will this summit help that aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, sure. Many of the aspiring entrepreneurs have some sort of fear because when you are used to the comfort of a salary that comes every week, every fortnight, every month, it's not an easy thing to cross that line to go into business. Yes, the ideas are good, but when you get into business, you don't know where your money is coming from. Yes, you know that you are selling product and services, but whether you get enough clients to pay for those and give you enough revenue so that you can make a nice amount of profit and be able to live off that, you don't know that. So there's an element of fear that people have, and that stops them from really taking that step to go forward. Others may have sort of lack of clarity of what exactly they want to be able to go into business. They sort of have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't know how to go about that, and that's an element that needs to be considered. For some other people, it's just lack of education, really, because business is a tough world out there. You need to know what you are doing and do it well. It's not a place where ignorance will be tolerated, because when you're ignorant, you pay the price for it. So all of those elements, and there's another one about funding. Some people may not, I really want to do a business, but where will I get the money? Now, all these things, we're trying to address them in the summit. We have conversation around them, presentations, people who've been there, have done that, and who can help the aspiring entrepreneurs to have a clear plan that will help them to go from just what's in their head into an established business that is registered, that has product, that has services, and some client. The good thing is the network that we are building around Australia, with all the summits we are organizing and all the media things we've been doing before, is quite large. So you already have kind of a client base even before you start your business. And we're encouraging people in our networks to patronize, and that's another point we might talk about later. It's important that us as Africans, we learn how to patronize our own businesses. The money has to go around in our communities long before it goes outside, and that's what every other smart community is doing, whether it's the Indian, the Asians, the Greek, the Jewish, the Italians. They do that. Only us, we kind of starting to make some move in there, but it's still way, way low. So we've got this client base that is already established. We can help you to promote your business, and we have people who have the skills to even take your business out there to the broader society. Rather than go alone, you have people who are going to support you, because all of these summits, one of the most important goals beyond the event is to establish that ecosystem that will help new businesses to get the support, the connection, and everything that they need from a community perspective to move forward. I'll talk about the other groups later when you ask the question.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I think very practical steps for the aspiring entrepreneur out there, right? To be able to
Yeah.
have that in your mind, to be able to speak with other entrepreneurs, which is your market testing. Is there a need for my business in the market? When I was there last year, one of the pieces of advice I got that kind of also helped me in business from one of the panelists, and I forgot his name, but it was really good summit. He said, I had to learn how your passion and your business, they're two completely different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I took, where I was so passionate what I did, but the passion and business is two different things, right? And so when I went from that event, that's what I came home with that. So like you said, there's practical steps: registering, getting it, the business out there, and then now being able to be in that network. So for the aspiring entrepreneur, clearly there is a must. I mean, if you're here in Sydney and you're working that 9 to 5 job and you want to get out, and that it's not sustainable, you want to get out of the matrix, then the Afropreneur Summit is where you have to be. So, okay, let's go to the next person, right? So we've just hit the aspiring entrepreneur. They're coming. The emerging entrepreneurs. Why should, someone as an emerging entrepreneur, they've ducked in their entrepreneurship tail, they're okay. Why should they come to this event?
Well, for the emerging entrepreneurs, I suppose, you know how I said earlier, the easiest thing really is to start a business. The most difficult thing is to develop it. Because starting a business, it can cost you as less as little as $500 to register it. And if anybody is telling you that it costs a whole lot more, they're not telling you the full picture. Come to us, we'll tell you with about $500 you can register a business. So you've got it. It's there, legally there, but you need to make it live, grow, develop. And that's where there are a lot of things that come into the picture. Marketing, for example. A lot of people obviously underestimate the power of marketing, and they focus so much on the product or on the service and a little on marketing. We will have people who obviously have the experience, the knowledge, and who can show you, because they have done that. They have been there. So marketing tools and strategies to be able to help you to push your business to that next level, and even scale it up. Because nowadays, I'm very well aware that not every business is scalable, but there are a lot more businesses these days that can be scaled, and you don't have to do it yourself. Where you can utilize the power of the network to scale your business and still get income coming, even if you're not necessarily doing the job itself, but because you've been able to set up a system that is working, and with the power of the network, we can make that happen for you. And you also need maybe to look at business standards, and business infrastructure, because sometimes people start their business, whether it's a restaurant or a shop. But when you patronize them, you see that the standard there is very poor, and that could potentially explain why they may stay at one level for very long. But if you are able to gain experience from others who can provide you with really good advice on how you can establish good standards, you need that business infrastructure. It's things like just an FPOS machine where someone can come and buy. They don't have to have cash, because nowadays not many people have cash. You will go into a lot of African businesses, they don't even have that, which is really regrettable. So all of those things that will help you to grow and develop your business, because starting it is good, growing it is even better. And if you don't do enough, well, guess what happened? More than 50%, I think the figures, I don't have the exact figure, but I think it's about 50 to 70% of businesses that are open, they die within the first 5 years. About 50 of them die within the first 2 years. So about 50%, die within the first 2 years. So if you don't do things well, your business will die. But if you're an emerging entrepreneur, you can come to Afropreneur and learn from the experience of those who have been there and done that, and they can help you. They are just people like you. They have the pretty much everything that you have in terms of, because sometimes we see other, whether it's the Indians, the Jewish, the Greek, the white Australia, they are actually progressing. Some people have a bit of a doubt, I may not be able to do it. You can do it, and we have a lot of Africans who are being successful in many business areas. We can help you to make it happen. That's what I would say for emerging entrepreneurs.
For the emerging entrepreneurs. Okay. So also for the emerging entrepreneurs, just a quick question before you go on to the next one. How can an entrepreneur, would you say, from your business advice, take themselves out of their day-to-day? Do you know what I mean? So instead of working in the business, they're working on the business. What advice would you give for that person, just quickly?
Well, that can happen and will happen if you put a lot of attention and strategies uh, and systems to your business. But it's not something that will happen overnight. For a number of years, you're gonna have to be there. I mean, this doesn't apply in all cases, but in most cases, yeah, you need to work hard and smart to establish the business, to establish a client base, to establish a good system, and then gradually start withdrawing and letting other people, other employees, and the system that you've established to work without you necessarily being there. You can start supervising until such a point as you actually can remove yourself totally from the business and only kind of really keep an eye on how things are working. So it is a process, and it's very difficult to give sort of general advice that will apply in every business. But the only thing I can say is that first you got to do everything you need to do to grow the business, develop
Mm,
it sufficiently, so that it is you are able to attract first good employees. Because if you want to walk out of the business, I mean not walk out, but pull out and let the business run itself, you're going to rely on people and systems. So you need to build that. You need to attract the right employees, and you need to set up the right system. It takes time to find out the right people, because the employees are one of the biggest challenges for all small businesses. It's not easy to find the right employees that will really have your business in their heart and give as much dedication as they should to make sure the business runs properly. So it takes a bit of time to not only find the people with the right mindset and then the right skill set, and then train them and acquire and establish a good system that will help you to get that. The growth will give you that, but you need to build it first. That's what
mm.
I can say about that.
Really good advice. I'm so glad I asked you that question, but that's very, very good advice. Build a great system, develop the business, good employees. You need to build a good team and train them well. Powerful.
Mhm.
Okay, so now for the established entrepreneurs, right? The established entrepreneurs who maybe some are at that stage, some, especially when you're an established entrepreneur, you're still always scaling. You're still always in the process. So a lot of them are still scaling to hit the next level, to go in and
Mhm.
sell their business for the millions, for the billions, right? Or to take it as far as possible. Why should the established entrepreneurs come to the 2024 Afripreneur Summit here in Sydney?
Well, first off, I would just say for established entrepreneurs, especially those of African descent, I think there's some sort of moral responsibility if you connect with this narrative to sort of help the community to go to higher economic grounds, even without necessarily getting something back for your own business. I think most of us, many of us, as business owners, will recognize that it's important, because if you are part of a richer community, it means that your business is also likely to do better. It's all economics. So let's spread the wealth in some way. We may not be able to distribute the money, but we can distribute the knowledge, we can distribute the experience to help others to acquire economic power. And when the community has more economic power, it helps everybody else. It helps even your children and your grandchildren in the future. That's one. Number two, when it comes to actually really to the business goals, an established entrepreneur, as you said, Sujira is also looking at how to scale their business. And this summit provides with an opportunity to have conversation with people around that, and make new connections, and look at how you can utilize those connections to scale your business. And that means, you could be operating out of Melbourne or Sydney, and there may be an opportunity to do that in Adelaide, in Perth, in Brisbane. And as we establishing this ecosystem, well, you have the opportunity to meet people, perhaps even people maybe from your own country, from your own culture, people who look like you, and where you can communicate and connect with them at some degree that perhaps is not available from the wider community. So you, as an established entrepreneur, you come to the summit, it enables you to explore collaboration and partnership for the purpose of scaling up your business. Besides that contribution that you can bring to the community by helping others, by mentoring others, by coaching others, and that's as rewarding as business itself. For someone like me, helping others gives me as much satisfaction, sometimes even more satisfaction than earning money. Because money, let's face it, you know, money comes, money goes, but the impact you have on people sometimes is more, even more powerful. That legacy that you can leave, that you've obviously you're doing well for your business if you're an established entrepreneur. Now, how about helping others? How about contributing to the development of your community, both here and in Africa? Because one thing I haven't mentioned earlier is that the Afropreneur Summit, besides helping African entrepreneur here in the continent, we also want to look at how we can encourage the diaspora to contribute to the economic development of our countries where we come from and the broader African continent as a whole. Many of us really have in our hearts that willingness to try to do something for our countries and for our continent. A lot of us don't know how to do it because it's not always easy. If you're still in Australia, you can go back home, start a business. You can go back to Africa, any other African country, start a business. And that's usually the best way if you want to be successful in that area. But even before returning, you can already, with connections with the right people, start impacting things in the African continent. Again, it's part of that legacy building.
Is for you, for all spectrums. Again, I said the sponsors, but even for everyone who comes to this event, your personal branding, marketing, which is the only leverage you have, which is your legacy, for you to be documented here in the Afropreneur Summit, inspiring, engaging, collaborating, communicating, is game changing, right? So it would also be a no brainer for you on a business perspective from all spectrums of people who should be at this event for you to be here. It's time to build your brand, and you can use all of this amazing event that you've put together to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's a great opportunity for that branding, whether it's personal, business, organizational branding. This event provide that opportunity. And one other thing I want to add into this, we also want to invite people and those organizations that work with Africans, because many of the, and that's mostly in the other governmental space or not for profit space, all these organizations that work with multicultural communities, we're also inviting them because a lot of them have only come to, how do I put it? They are sort of used to interacting with Africans on the basis of either some cultural stuff or some, disempowered community sort of discourse or narrative, because we know that many Africans who came to Australia came from refugee background, and they may have issues because they've got limited education and all that, and they're doing a great job to have that. But there's another part of Africa and Africans that they actually don't know, and we want them to come and experience and witness that because for me, and I tell you a funny story. Once I was invited, because I was the community leader for my Congolese community in Victoria. I was invited into a meeting which was about discussing strategies for multicultural engagement. And when I get there, the person who invited us asked me where I was from. I said it was a Congo. We had a conversation. The next thing is asking me whether I could sing and dance in the
No way.
in that meeting, just to open up the meeting. I said, "Sing and dance? Where is that coming from?"
Wait, what?
Yes,
Really?
yes, I'm African. I can potentially sing, and I do sing in my shower. What makes you think that I can, in this context here, I can sing and dance? I just couldn't understand. But later I understood that this person has connected with Africans mostly in that sort of context where there's these cultural things, and white people, they love that, and it's part of our culture. We love it too. But there's more to Africans than the dance and the singing and the cultural stuff and all of that. Uh, when it's business, and we need to change the perception that people have. That's one last point I want to finish on this, unless you have some other question. But it is our duty as Africans or people of African descent, Afro people, to change the image that the Western world, first world, have on Africans. For years, I mean, for centuries, the general member of the Australian public, American, European, they've been fed with one image of Africa and Africans, which is negative. Now, it's going to take some time for them to think and perceive Africans differently. But when we take this matter in our own hands through events of this type, we can start changing that perception. When they see successful entrepreneurs from Africa who are contributing to the economy of this country, who are creating jobs, who are paying taxes, and showcasing that success, they'll start thinking differently about Africa, and it's part of our responsibility. We have to do it. We can't subcontract these type of things. We have to show it, and that's why I'm inviting a lot of people and say, hey, even if you may not necessarily thinking of business, just come to this summit if you to support what is being done, because it also not only helps to showcase that brighter, more positive image of Africans, and you don't know where your next opportunity will be coming from. Meet new people, opportunities are there, but we do need to take action to try to change the image of Africans, and we can change them in a powerful way when we deliver big events, and we do that on a large scale, and we show achievement and success. That's one good way. And if we, from there, we could have coverage of this mainstream media as well. We may or may not have it, but once we start doing these things, then it builds up, and gradually the stories start changing.
Powerful, powerful. I think we can end it off there on that note. Really, really powerful way to end it off. I can't wait. Just talking about it has got it in my blood. It's got my adrenaline pumping, and the people who are watching this, I'm sure their adrenaline is pumping too. Just with inspiration, and just like I think even for us, like every now and again, to have a podcast like this to keep, of course in the future this is going to happen, but I think like you're right, man, changing the image, right? And then like for people to be able to watch this from anywhere in the world, just watching this podcast right now, we're changing that image, we're showing it, and I can't wait for this event. So is there anything else you want to leave us with just before we end the show?
Well, I just want to mention that we, at this date, I know this video will be available for a long time, and the dates might not make much sense anymore. But as we speak right now, we still have actually 5 summits that we can deliver. We plan to deliver for this year. The next one is in Brisbane on the 14th of September. After that, we have Perth on the 18th of October, and then Melbourne on the 26th of October, and Sydney on the 9th of November. We still in negotiations. I mean, we're still putting a team together for Hobart. And it's still possible that we may also do Hobart probably around November as well, but I can't confirm it at this stage, given we had some little issue with the team locally, because we have to build a team in every capital city to be able to work on the delivery of the event. But certainly 4 events are coming up. We're very happy with the Adelaide ones, which the Adelaide one, which happened on the 20th of June. It was very successful, and we know that we will also have beautiful and impactful events as we go to Brisbane, Perth, Melbourne, and Sydney. So wherever you are, there will be a summit near you. One of the reasons why we took this summit from Melbourne to the other capital cities, because we want to take this events to the community, closer to you, whether you're in regional New South Wales, Queensland, WA, Victoria, you can join at the cap. It's easier than flying, to the other side of the country. So we just encourage you, if you're watching this, please register and join, and also talk to your friends. Share the video, share the flyer, and invite your friends. Bring your friends along to this event. It is all about economic power, and this is very, very important for the future of the broader African community, African Australian community, the African continent. We have a role to play. So we're inviting you, and play your role. Join us and help us to spread this knowledge and awareness across the communities.
Yes, amazing. And guys, you guys will be able to access your tickets, the link in the description. Go in and access that for sponsorships, for you wanting to be able to put your brand here. We've talked about it, right? Your personal branding is everything. The way you put your business out there, this is valuable, right? Not only can you see the marketing here, this personal branding, this podcasting, this event is the place to be in Sydney. So get in touch. Link in the description. You'll be able to get in touch, and everyone get your tickets right now. Thankfully, this will be out before this amazing event. So you guys head over there, and we'll see you at the event. Cool.
Thank you very much, Sujira. I appreciate your time.